Today marks the 422nd day since the peak of the last bull market. Historically, Bitcoin's price has performed in cycles, with a period of rapid appreciation, a blow off top, and then a period of decline until the next cycle begins. If the cycle theory is accurate, this chart says we might be close to the absolute bottom. Let's jump in. Today's chart comes from @BitcoinPierre on Twitter. He writes, #Bitcoin, in the trough of disillusionment. Either we enter the slope of enlightenment this year, or the cyclical pattern breaks. To break down this chart, we first need to understand a few things, such as the Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is the scheduled event in which the inflation rate of Bitcoin is cut in half. A simple analogy would be to think about a diamond mine in which 6 diamonds a day are produced. Once the halving occurs, only 3 diamonds can be produced from the mine per day. If the demand for diamonds stays the same or increases, the price of the diamonds will also increase. The key takeaways regarding Bitcoin halving are these. Previous halvings have correlated with intense boom and bust cycles that have ended with higher prices than before the event. Bitcoin last halved on May 11th, 2020. The final halving will occur in 2140 when Bitcoin will reach its max supply of 21 million. Checking out the chart, we can see that we have price on the y-axis and we have the days since halving on the x-axis. If you notice, for this chart, he has split it up into 3 separate sections: a hype section, a disillusionment section, and an enlightenment section. Notice here that the x-axis is days since halving. The boom cycle does not start once the halving happens. It typically happens roughly 100 to 180 days afterwards. As you can see, approximately after 100 days of the halving, Bitcoin enters this boom cycle, where its first cycle it peaked at $1,163. The second cycle showed here in this orange graph, we can see that during the high cycle, Bitcoin reached almost a peak of $20,000. And this third cycle that we are currently in and coming to a conclusion, we can see Bitcoin peaked at roughly $67,000. After these peaks during the boom cycle, we see a repeating pattern of this disillusionment in which the Bitcoin price crashes 85 to 90%. This often correlates with people believing the market is dead and that cryptocurrencies are over. After this period of disillusionment, there's typically about 1 year in which the price kind of goes sideways and begins to creep back up. After the halving, we then see the cycle repeat. If the cycle theory is accurate, we are ending the period of disillusionment and shortly will be entering the enlightenment period. This is the time you want to dollar cost average during the lows and prepare for the boom after the halving. None of this is financial advice. I personally have begun dollar cost averaging a bit earlier than I did last cycle. Last cycle, I had huge success. I brought receipts. I recommend buying cryptocurrency and then taking it into self-custody via a cold storage wallet. The previous cycle, I was a bit more naive and used Robinhood to purchase cryptocurrencies. I do not recommend this. If you recall, the previous Bitcoin halving occurred on May 11th, 2020. I began dollar cost averaging at the end of this enlightenment period and at the beginning of the boom cycle. We can look here and see I purchased 1 Bitcoin for a price of $10,000 on February 9th at 11:11. My goal was to dollar cost average Bitcoin around the $10,000 price. However, a month later, Bitcoin dropped to the mid 5,000 range. We can see here on March 18th, I purchased another Bitcoin for 5,300. I continued to dollar cost average each month and was able to pick up another Bitcoin for 7,555 on April 25th. And as you can see here, the time it was July, after the May halving, Bitcoin was starting to shoot back up again. I purchased another Bitcoin at roughly $11,000. And finally, Bitcoin was hovering around 11,000 and I purchased roughly zero point 0.8 more.
Little did I know that these Bitcoin buys would be some of the best investments that I ever made. They drastically changed my financial future forever. If you're looking for guidance in the crypto and DeFi markets and are interested in building a strategy for the upcoming boom cycle, then reach out at defisprings.com. Until next time.